Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. Straight Facts live from Unit 7 as we build up to the start of the Premier League season. Palace versus Arsenal tonight. We're live at full time. No better place to tune in, phone in, and have your say. I'm joined by Jessica Black in the studio today. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm excited about the Premier League starting. Lots of transfers going on, which we're going to delve into. But how are you feeling? We're going to get onto Arsenal later, but how are you feeling about the game later on?
I'm nervous. I really am. This is the third time in a row Arsenal have opened up the Premier League season away from home in a London derby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we're 1-for-1 right now. So hopefully we get back to winning ways. But yeah, I'm really nervous. I can't lie.
I get that completely. And viewers, how are you feeling about the start and return of the Premier League season? We want to know. Giving away to you on the show today. If we hit 1,000 likes while we're live, we're going to give away 20 brand new free memberships. Over 100 were given away yesterday. And we have recorded the first pieces of member-only content. That's coming out to you very, very soon indeed. So we're very excited for our members to be getting hold of that. In terms of today's show, there's so much to kind of delve into, really. We know that Cucurella is now a Chelsea player, signed, confirmed by all clubs, by all parties. The here we go was right. On top of that, Wesley Fofana, a new up to 85 million pound could be spent by Chelsea. They're obsessed with him. They want him. They will look to bring him into the football club. Equally, Frenkie De Jong. Harry Redknapp's got involved in this. Says he knows for a fact that Frenkie De Jong wants Chelsea, not Manchester United. Are they the next two deals that are close to being completed? We're going to talk about Bernardo Silva, who has reportedly agreed terms now with Barcelona with a bid expected. That should trigger the sale of Frenkie De Jong, Man United and Chelsea to fight that out. Then what happens with Youri Tielemans? That's the next big element. What happens with Youri Tielemans? Do Arsenal go shit and panic? Not panic as such, but go and buy him? Or do Manchester United swoop in and take him away? We will be previewing the game a bit later. As you can see, will Arteta bottle it? It's a little bit of a joke because the amount of times he gets called a bottle job. But we're going to be previewing that later on during today's show. But I really wanted to start with Jess looks nervous. Just do your thing. Just say, you're nervous about tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, of course I am. Yeah, I'm not used to watching game. I'm not a good watcher. So usually when I'm watching the game, I'm by myself, so I can act the way I want to and pace, but I'm going to be with you, and I'm sure anything that
Javerne and Colleen, we're all here tonight watching it.
Well, Colleen, I'm not worried about. It's you I'm worried about. That's going to be like if we
Why
get
me?
Because you know how you're going to be.
What have I done?
It's just going to be rough.
I'm back in Arsenal this year. I might go on loan to Arsenal this year.
No, just back Man United. Just leave it alone. But yeah, I am nervous. I am.
I get that. A lot of the viewers coming in here, 3-1 to Jacob here says 3-1 to the Gooners tonight. Carl thinks it's going to be 3-1 to Palace this evening. We will see. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to football being back. I wanted to start with the Barca City news to begin with on today's show, though. And the reason I wanted to start with that element first is because I think it kind of moves on to the De Jong situation, which is really kind of complex now, as it were. So it's been reported by the Daily Mail and pushed out by a lot of Barca press now that Bernardo Silva has agreed personal terms with Barcelona. Of course, a lot of City fans don't think this deal is going to go through, but as confirmed by Pep today, he wants him to stay. But if a player wants to go, the clubs can come to an agreement. Do you feel like as long as an adequate bid is made, does it feel fairly inevitable that Bernardo Silva could go to Barca as well?
Yeah, I think so. Earlier on in the window, there's been talk about this from the beginning of the window. Earlier on, I think by people in Bernardo's camp were saying, "Oh no, we're fine, we're this and that." And this always goes back to, consider the source. I don't think, until something looks a little bit more concrete, City had a lot of things that they needed to get done early on in the window, sales and incomings. So they probably knew that there was a move on the cards for Barcelona to come in for Bernardo, but they wanted to keep it under wraps. It's very possible that Bernardo Silva ends up at Barcelona, and Pep, I think, and City are always kind of open to players leaving because they seem to be able to plug and play different players into those positions. It's not really as individualistic as maybe some other teams.
Yeah.
And as long as you meet the fee, probably every player except for maybe, let's say, De Bruyne is probably open. There's a sale that could happen, so it's going to be a big chunk of cash, obviously. It's going to be a big fee. Bernardo Silva is a world-class player. But I definitely see that this happening. He's also in his prime. This is the chance, if you have an opportunity to go to Barcelona, go there now. A lot of players view this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play for a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. So it's not that surprising, that maybe he would want to go, but it's a lot of in and outs for Manchester City. It really is.
I think it's the replacement at City is going to be absolutely key if he does go. Who do they bring in? How quickly can they integrate? What they don't need is 2 or 3 of their players taking a year to settle, having lost players like Raheem Sterling, players like Bernardo Silva, who even Fernandinho that didn't play as much last year. When he came on, it wasn't like he was coming into these games last season and looking average, costing them points, costing them moments. He was still being pivotal in keeping clean sheets, pivotal in them getting over the line. It could be the difference between them and Liverpool winning this league title. It really, really could. So I think it's an intriguing one to see how it's going to work. From a Barca point of view, it's just they've reacted so quickly to falling behind. And when I think about our 2 clubs and how long it's taken Arsenal to get back to a point where fans are, I think this is probably one of the, not since you were invincible, because actually between 2004 and sort of 2010, 2011, all of those summers you guys had faith. But it's been a decade now since Arsenal, or more, just over, since Arsenal have gone into a season and truly believed we could achieve something. It's taken a long time. The fact that Barca have got back to this point in the space of, 12 months is phenomenal. And they're taking risk with selling off all these assets and selling off the TV rights, because of course they're never going to make it. You're not going to make as much money through selling the TV rights as actually earning the TV rights, because no one would buy them for more than they're worth. That would be stupid. But they're going for it. And if they can get back to winning leagues, if they can get back to challenging and being competitive and staying in the Champions League, they'll make that money back over the course of time. And I think if they add Bernardo Silva to their team, as long as they can gel, which is the difficult thing. When you think of Rafinha, Dembele, Lewandowski, Bernardo Silva thrown into the mix, Kesse there, you've got young Gavi, you've got Pedri, plus the plethora of other players that they've brought into the team, names I'm even forgetting about. This team goes in and you think they're in the top 5 teams to win the Champions League almost instantly, as long as they click and whatever else. And Real Madrid will be looking over their shoulder again straight away.
Yeah.
But the good news from this is that it's been reported for about 2 weeks now that if Bernardo Silva joins, Frenkie De Jong is likely to leave and go in a different direction. I want to play the extract actually from what, hopefully the viewers can hear this okay. I'm going to turn this up. This is what Harry Redknapp had to say about the situation.
Now it looks like De Jong wants to go to Chelsea. I know that for a fact. He wants to go to Chelsea. So Man United are not going to get him. I've had that from somebody right at the very, very, very top at Man United. He's made up. He really wants to go to Chelsea.
So you hear that there from Harry Redknapp. Harry Redknapp saying, he has been told by somebody not high up at Chelsea, not somebody high up at in the Premier League, not a friend of his, but somebody high up at Man United. He's very good friends with Sir Alex. I'm not saying it is Sir Alex, but he knows Sir Alex Ferguson very well, that's what's going to happen. Do you feel like Chelsea will pounce if this Bernardo Silva deal goes through in that way? Or do you still feel like Man United have a chance and an opportunity to get him?
Wait, so he's getting this information from somebody high up at Manchester United?
Yeah.
That Frenkie de Jong wants to go to Chelsea?
Yeah.
Then if that's the case, why are Manchester United still pursuing the deal?
I mean, Redknapp could be wrong, but I'm just, if Redknapp is telling the truth, it's like Chelsea are leading this race now.
I mean, I'm a big advocate for consider the source. If you had told me that it was from anywhere else, I probably would have said oh yeah, inject that into my veins. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to hear. But hearing it from Redknapp and him saying it's from somebody at Manchester United, it could just be maybe Manchester United wanting to cool it down just a little bit, create a little bit of confusion, because there's also an element of like, if Chelsea does come in, maybe they want to make it seem like, it was closer and, things like that, that they were super, super interested really early. So I don't know. It seems strange that he would be getting that information and putting it out there. But at the same time, I do think Manchester United still have a strong chance of bringing in De Jong. When I look at, of course, I would prefer him to go to Chelsea because I can't stand United, and it would just be funny to see it all crumble. But I just feel like Manchester United would actually be a better fit for him. In terms of like being the star of the project. He's never really been somewhere like at Barcelona. He was kind of, I don't know, square peg and round hole. Like they didn't really play him in the right position. I'm not sure, what it would look like playing with Tuchel. I'm not saying Tuchel's not a great coach and all of that, but when I look at it, I think it would be better suited going to Manchester United, playing under Ten Hag, somebody that he knows that's going to put him in the perfect spot to let him thrive and build the system around him, where I'm not sure that Tuchel would do the same, even though I know Tuchel's a big fan. So I still think Manchester United have a good chance, especially because we also have to consider what are the wages going to look like. Are Chelsea going to pay 400, £1,000 per week? I don't know, on Frenkie De Jong, but also Chelsea are desperate. They need to get their signings over the line. We see what they're willing to do to get that done, especially because the beginning of the window was kind of haphazard or whatever, chaotic, whatever you want to say. So I think it's open. I still have this weird feeling that Manchester United will pull it off. I think it's just a better fit, but hey, what do I know? I mean, what do you think? Are you like what, like percentage wise?
I'll be honest with you. Like, Harry Redknapp's not a bullshitter. Someone may have told him that, but who knows who that person is? Were they just, telling Harry Redknapp that so that he could go on the internet and say it?
Yeah.
There's the other side of it, though. I saw a tweet today from a Man United fan I've never come across before, and it was a take where I thought, I hope you're not right, but logically it makes sense. He was like, this is typical Glazers. They're going to say they're not out the race because he's the number one target, but they know they're not going to win the race now. Therefore, it's almost like they'll be praised for, but they tried to spend the money, but it isn't their fault the player picked Chelsea. If they know they're not going to get him, it's a very easy thing to do to say, we're willing to spend £100 million on him. But if you know the player isn't coming, it's a nonsense. Does that make sense? And I think Man United fans, and I did a video on this earlier on today, and I want to get so behind what Ten Hag's doing. There was this part when I listen to him speak, I'm like, okay, he wants the right players. When I listen to him speak, he says, I want the right players. It doesn't matter if we have to wait. The right attitudes. If we sign 2 players, he hasn't said this, but the way I read it is, if we assign 2 rather than 5, and we have to wait for the other 3 to arrive in January or the following summer, that's the best way to build a club. I agree with that in principle. My problem is I'm so jaded by the Glazers that I don't trust them to see a process through. Equally, I don't want us to overpay. There's this part of me that's like, I don't really want to pay those deferred wages. I don't want him to be earning £200,000 a week more at Man United than his quality should allow him to, because we've done this so many times for different reasons, but so many times we've overpaid. So many times we've given people more money than they warrant earning at the club. And it starts a butterfly effect that always ends in disaster, player power problems, insubordinate dressing rooms, and essentially failure. We don't win anything. And I've become in the last 2 weeks so split on what I want. I'm seeing and hearing all the things I want, and that makes me positive, but I can't get rid of this niggle in the back of my mind.
I think it's a completely different scenario. And this is a huge if, but if Manchester United are telling the truth about wanting to back Ten Hag and let Ten Hag, kind of start this new project at Manchester United, get rid of the bad eggs and build something kind of from the ground up with this new philosophy, new culture, blah, 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 then it is worth it to bring in his number one target at all costs. It may be a little bit embarrassing. Like, let's be real. Barcelona are slapping people up in this transfer window. They are showing who's boss, and some of the Premier League teams are having to say, you know what, actually we're not as big as we thought, So I do think that in the short term, it maybe not feel comfortable, But at the same time, I just look at it and I'm like, this is his number one target. He's going to build everything around that. They're not going to consider sacking him early or anything like that. It's not as the way it was before, where it was Jose and it was all these different pieces all together. They're going to stick it through. Then it may just be worth it to get it done, because let's keep it real. There's not a lot of De Jongs out there. I believe 100% like what Ten Hag is probably thinking at the Ruben Neveses and the Tielemans, as much as those players are quality, Premier League proven quality at that, De Jong is another level. And once you lose him, who knows when the next one is coming about, right? So, yeah, I think you have to go ahead and push the boat out for him.
I think we do. We do need him. We need to land him. We need to spend money. We need to back the manager. And whether that means getting him and waiting for him in January, if nobody gets him now, I'm kind of behind that. As I just say, I see what Chelsea are about to spend. I see what Arsenal are spending. We look at what Barca are doing, and there's just part of me that's like, I want to do that. But at the same time, like I said, I'm so split on this. I don't have a definitive opinion anymore. I'll hear, Neeks has said it before. Yeah, well, we've bought the managers in the past, the wrong players, or we've overspent and it's damaged us. And I'm like, you're right, actually, so we're doing the right thing. And then you hear, well, Sir Alex Ferguson used to say there's no value in the market when the Glazers didn't want to spend. I'm like, oh, Jesus. We've been so poorly run. It's so hard to get behind anything. And maybe after we've played a few games and we've kicked a few balls and we hopefully see some improvements, there'll be an element of like new faith in what's going on. I want to have a look at some of these comments here. First of all, Connor Elliott. I'm in a different studio, so I don't have the noise to play. What's this one? That's a good one. There we go, Elliot. That's a nice noise. Round of applause for becoming an official member of the... I couldn't remember what this soundboard did. KC here says, lol, bar sport, which is mostly hot garbage. No decent Catalonian publication says he wants Chelsea. English media have been unreliable for Barca this window. I think they have and they haven't. I think the English press have been very consistent when it comes to the player not wanting to leave because of the deferred wages. Of course, the Barca press have been given the exclusives on players that they're going to bring in. The Barca press have been given the exclusives on how they're going to fix their financial situation. So when the English press are asked a question, how do you think Barca can afford X, Y, and Z? Well, they can't, and they're basing it on what they know. Barca are not giving the English press any new information until after the English press. They're not getting any new information until it's published by the Barca and Spanish press. So they're behind on that. Ironically, though, Man United and Chelsea are obviously giving information to the British press, and they will know more than what the Barca press know about certain situations. It then comes down to who wins the negotiation. And the one thing Barca have been, the reason that the Barca press are getting the praise this year is that Barca have won the negotiations in reality. So therefore, the press looks better. If Chelsea would have beaten Barca on the final day to Jules Koundé, then the Barca press would have looked silly. You know, Barca are winning this window. There is absolutely no doubt about that, though, my friend. But the media are not lying. The media are just telling you what they're being told. Who's telling them? The clubs. So it's the clubs that have got it wrong, or the clubs that have lost the battle, as opposed to the media themselves. This channel is becoming a United PR spin channel. Acknowledge the good within the bad, and you won't be forced to make those apology videos. Well, not really, my friend. I don't really make very many apology videos, but of course, if I come out today and say, let's take it away from United. If I turn around today and say, I think Gabriel Jesus is going to be a flop. I think Gabriel Jesus is not going to score more than 3 goals in the Premier League this year. He's rubbish. And then he bangs in 4 tonight. When I'm addressing my community, I've got to say, hands up. Sorry, I got that one wrong. It's not an apology because I'm some shrinking violet who, oh my God, I got all these things wrong. I backed Ronaldo the other day because I believe the media reports that he was given permission to leave. When we were given new facts that stated that he wasn't given permission and it's unacceptable, I'm going to condemn his behavior. But as a man, I can't condemn his behavior before I've held my hands up and said, I got that wrong. So it's nothing about spinning the PR for Man United. I've been very harsh on Man United in 2 or 3 videos in the last couple of weeks. You may not have watched them, Trent, but I have. But thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it, my friend. There's another super chat that's come through here. I did miss it. I want to try and go back to it. This isn't a new studio. This is the same studio, just a different corner of the room. But we're going to be here a lot more over the course of this season. There was a super chat that came through. I want to go back to it here from the Bill. It says, I get you. I don't trust the Glazers, but it seems like they are easier to talk about the right process and don't have the courage to see it through. Typically, we've started at Man United with the right process with every new manager. It's just been a year, 18 months in. Things have kind of gone in a different Direction. I want to get your thoughts and feelings though on Frenkie De Jong. Where will he end up? Do you believe what Harry Redknapp has said today, that he wants Chelsea more? I mean, I'll be honest with you. Do you know why I believe Harry Redknapp? Because I've said all summer that if Chelsea or a big Champions League team come in for him, they'll take him in front of us.
I just don't understand why he's out there talking about it. Like, that's what I just don't understand. But I guess you do. Like,
you know, Harry Redknapp's proper connected in England in football, right?
Yeah.
You do know that.
No, I get that. But I'm just trying to figure out why he's out there saying it, though, like, and putting it out there. There has to be a reason why, because he could just keep it to himself. There's a reason why you'd preemptively go out there and put that information out there. You could easily just let things play out. But somebody of his stature coming out and making sure that he puts it out there makes me think that there's a point behind it. That's my thing. It's not, I don't think he's lying.
No, I get that. I get where you're coming from. I don't necessarily think he's lying either. Maybe it's because it's confirmation bias for me. It's what I believe is going to happen. It's not what I want to happen, but it's what I believe. So I kind of hear it and I'm like, you know, because I'm right about 99.9% of things in football. Like, the football knowledge that I have compared to the rest of humanity is just like, imagine Albert Einstein talking science with the general public. That's kind of me with football. It's a joke. It's a joke. I don't really mean it. By the way, viewers, 1,000 likes, and we're going to gift 20 free memberships away on this show. We've already recorded the first pieces of fan content that is members only. So make sure you're hitting that. We're going to give some more out to you. Let's do some more of your comments here. Alex here says, mark my words, United is finishing in the top 2, first or second. My prediction, Liverpool and United for the... Alex, are you okay? Did you bang your head today? What? Man United top 2. Come on. No one believes that. Yeah, City have gone out of business. Chelsea have gone out of business. It's a 2-horse race and we came last. That's the only way it's going to happen. That happened to me once. I come second in a beauty contest once.
I can believe it.
I was the only one in it.
Yeah,
but I came second.
Mm-hmm.
I love that joke. No one should buy a Frenkie De Jong. Barca just struggle to register players. Well, this is why I think he's going to go, because they're now begging Gerard Piqué to take a pay cut. And if he doesn't take one, there'll be players that, even if De Jong goes.
Busquets as well.
Busquets, there's loads of players. They need him to leave. And wouldn't it be funny, though, for Barca winning the window, but then not be able to register any of them? And they've got all these players sitting in the reserves doing nothing.
It would be funny.
It'd be hilarious. It'd be hilarious. It would be. If Chelsea do sign De Jong, Fofana, and a forward, where do they finish, Terry? It's a great question. If they sign Frenkie, if they sign Wesley, along with Cucurella that's gone in today, top 3, but challenge. It's the only way they finish in front of Arsenal is if they do sign Fofana and they do sign Frenkie De Jong. Then I would move them above Arsenal in my predictions because they'd have so much quality and a world-class manager. But I would expect them anything other than challenging until the last couple of games of the season would be failure with a squad and a manager like that. The expectation would have to be massive, absolutely massive on Chelsea from that point. We have a comment here that says, Jess, I wanted to say you look stunning again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You have a boyfriend?
Yes.
Oh, lucky guy. Sorry, I did that for Neeks. I know Neeks is watching. Oh.
Back to the football.
Oh.
So thank you.
The Simp Terrace is coming out now. The Simps are coming. The Simps are coming. Let's have a look at some more of these super chats here. How bad it can get. We already are in a worse situation. All we can do is wait and see if it's truly changed. We talk about patience, none to show. What I would say is this. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. And I'm hoping that's the case, but that hope is shrouded in bad memories.
Also, like, the fans need to be patient as well. And that's something that it's when you're starting it off and, you know, everything is great, you get the players in or whatever, but you have like a roughish season, it starts to test the patience of the fan base and really test that. Like, I'm seeing a lot of trust the process and the project and all of that kind of stuff. But if you don't finish in the spot that's, you know, you feel like it's maybe respectable, whatever, then it starts to test the patience of the fans. And Glazers are, like every other kind of like American ownership where they feel pressure from the fans, then they start to be like, is this what we should be doing? So I think it's important for the fans to make sure that they hold themselves accountable. You know, that they said at the beginning that it was going to take a lot of time. I see a lot of Man United fans talking about it's going to take time. If it doesn't go perfect in the first 18 months, no Ten Hag out. Just let him keep going. It's going to take a minute, right?
No, I agree to an extent. I mean, it really depends on how
To an extent.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's for me with him. My mindset for this season hasn't changed for Man United. As long as I see improved football, a system that I'm enjoying, and a dedicated team with how good everybody else is, as long as we're not dropping back in the league and suddenly finishing 8th or 9th, if we come in 6th, but we've improved in all those areas, we've built a foundation to grow from, I'm relatively happy. I'm not chuffed to bits with everything the club's doing, but you then know, okay, well, at least then we can show people in the following summer, you can see that progression. Are you more inclined to jump on board with this? We need to at least see that. If we get halfway through end this season and we look the same as we did under Ragnick, the same as we did at the end of Ollie, we drop down to 7th, 8th, 9th in the league, then I don't even know if it is the manager. Then you look at it from a situation where you've got to start realigning where Man United actually are now as a football club, because we'll struggle even more the following summer to buy people. So that's the, of course I want us to push for the top 4. Of course I'd like us to win a trophy. But I'm at a point where I can't even talk about that now until I see us kick a ball, with how much progression I've seen from everybody else in this space. I support Alex. United winning the league, mate. No chance at all. Comment here from Ghost Star Killers from on Twitch says, super excited for the start. Go into the game. Check my match day vlogs, guys, on my channel, and my fantasy code is, as you can see, give some cash prizes to the top 4. Well done, my friend. Jake here says, I don't think the top 2, but the way people are writing off United for the top 4 is ridiculous. Outside of Paul and City, nobody else is a locked for the spots.
I agree with that. I see a lot of people like 3rd is in play. As I don't think there's 2 spots available in the top 4. As far as I'm concerned, I see a lot of people saying it's 1, it's 2 spots, and I think 4 teams are fighting for it. You can't just write off United. I mean, you guys probably should have finished maybe lower than you did, but because of your quality, you finished in 6th. And if you had just kicked maybe 1 or 2 more balls in the back of the net, you probably would have finished in the top 4. Well, so you can't just write them off, right?
If we'd have worked harder in those last 3 months, we could have finished in the top 4. I did feel a lot of those games were because we weren't even trying. It was almost we just didn't bother. And yeah, I would be disappointed if we fell so far away. When I put us in 7th, I put us in predictions. But I don't expect us to be 2 or 3 places behind, say, Spurs and Chelsea. And I don't expect us to be 20, 30 points behind you.
No.
I expect it to be like close in that regard. And I definitely expect there to be improvements. But it's just the fact that you've got the Ronaldo situation. We haven't signed that midfield player yet. And look, I could feel very different about Man United in 3 weeks' time. If De Jong does come in, or if he doesn't, and we end up with Tielemans and Ruben Neves, and we sign Šeško as a backup striker, suddenly you look at it and go, well, we've actually added some additional quality in all areas. You might find Eriksen you might look at him and go, wow, look how good he looks. Martinez could be a revelation. Suddenly you feel more confident, but it's hard for me to be confident right about now. We are going to talk a bit about Wesley Fofana in a minute. I know a lot of people are tuning in for that before we move on to the Arsenal subjects later. Everyone is 0-0 and 0 right now. So excited for the new season. Come on, you Blues. Fair play and good luck to all your teams this season. Keep the blue flag flying high. That is Moose Wizard. And remember, all of you tuning in, straight after the game tonight, we are live. Myself, I'm joined by Jessica and Colleen, are all in the studio tonight, reviewing the game, taking your phone call. So I want to see every single one of you back here at full time. I know it may not be your team playing, but the Football Terrace is all about rivals. So tune into our match reactions. We'll share the link for you to phone in and have your say tonight. Very excited to see you all there. Now, Wesley Fofana. Wesley Fofana is an interesting one, right? So Wesley Fofana is, I want to say this in the right way, is a player that we know there's going to be another bid. There's going to be another bid. Chelsea are on their way to making a new bid for him. And they are looking like they are willing to pay somewhere in the region of around £85 million for Wesley Fofana. The new bid is going to be around about the mid-70s. They're going to test the water and see if they can get him cheaper. But the word is that Chelsea are willing to go right up to, if not surpass, that £85 million mark. We've just seen them bid by Cucurella for 62 million, 55 flat fee with 7 added on. You're not going to look past Chelsea spending that money on Fofana now, are you?
No, I mean they have to. You know, their back line is I wouldn't say decimated, but you know, they have lost quite a few players back there. Rudiger, Christensen, Alonso's gone, I think, or about to leave. So, you know, they have to replenish those positions and increase the quality. So I would imagine that Chelsea would want to get this done. And I said this at the beginning of the window about Todd Bowley, is he's going to want to make a splash on his first time round. He's not going to want to fail. He's not going to want to let the fan base down. He wants to, you know, make sure that those maybe doubters don't have much to doubt after that, because what Chelsea fans want to see is that he's willing to put his money where his mouth is, because after Abramovich, the next guy is always going to be scrutinized so much. So Todd Bowley wanting to spend this money is not a surprise to me, especially the way that the window was going earlier on. So Fofana, you know, I see that, you know, they're saying that they're obsessed with him. You're always, you know, the player that you're going after at the moment is always your number one option, and the player that you've always wanted. But Wesley Fofana, like De Ligt, like Jules Koundé, like Koulibaly, like all the players that they pretty much went after this summer window in the back line are quality players. You know, Fofana, I think, was always kind of destined to go to one of the top teams. I actually thought that he would end up at a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, but going to Chelsea is a good next step for him. He's definitely like up there, you know, in terms of the young center backs in the league. So yeah, I could definitely see them spending that money. And so when you start looking at it, Cucurella, who, for people that don't know, I'm like the president of the Cucurella fan club. I think he's excellent. I think he's amazing. And then Fofana and Koulibaly, and all of a sudden we're looking at Chelsea a lot differently than we did a couple weeks ago. You know, so it would be a really good pickup for Fofana, and Leicester need the cash. They need it badly. So I don't see them turning down an £80 million bid in any way, you know, in any way, you know. So I think it's definitely something that will get done. It, you know, also did Fofana take down like some of the Leicester stuff off of his profile or something like that?
He did that days ago. He's pushing for that move.
So it's probably going to get done.
I think it is, and he's pushing for that move. He's looking for that move to get done. He's looking for the deal to happen, of course. And I mean this with all due respect to Leicester, but Chelsea are a different kettle of fish, you know. And
well, they're basically Chelsea B. Most of their players, Chelsea's players over the years have all come from Leicester.
They're like Chelsea.
It's their feeder club.
Yeah, like a feeder club. And look, Leicester are a good-sized club in the UK. They've got a very loyal local fan base. They did phenomenally well, however many years ago it was now, 6-7 years ago, to win the league. What they did was against all odds. It was out of this world. They've tried to progress from that point, and they had a couple of years where they looked like they, especially under Rodgers, that they could really become a top 4 team. And it hasn't happened. They've won that FA Cup. I think the Leicester, this little powerful period from Leicester, I think is over. I think that the Newcastles of this world will catch and pass them. I think West Ham are now past them. Wolves probably should have done, but they haven't quite done it.
Villa's coming.
Villa are spending money, and they could do it. I think Leicester City are finished in terms of being a team that we talk about as maybe being a Champions League contender, you know, coming 5th, coming 6th. I think they're out of that race now, especially with Brendan Rodgers. So, of course, Wesley Fofana is going to look at this and say, listen, I want to move to Chelsea now, because Chelsea, if they don't get him, they're going to buy someone else, and that might limit that option. He was pushing for it. How good is Wesley Fofana? Do I think he's worth £85 million now? No. Do I think he's worth 60? Probably. So you're slightly overpaying, but I trust Thomas Tuchel so much when it comes to defenders. He's made the world believe that Antonio Rudiger is one of the best defenders in the world. He isn't. You're going to see that this year. Trust me, there's going to be compilation after compilation of this guy making mistakes at Real Madrid, especially in the Champions League. Rudiger's very good, but he was never worth the 400 or 500 grand a week he was demanding. It was the Thomas Tuchel system that elevated him. And listen, great managers make average players look good players look brilliant players look world-class players look off the chart. And And that's why Tuchel made these players look better than they really were. You know, you'll see the same thing with Christensen at Barcelona. Like, he will be an absolute nightmare. I don't think they realize how weak this guy is. I know La Liga isn't as physical as the Premier League, but they'll struggle. But Chelsea are signing an absolute star of the future. I think he is better than Jules Koundé. He is Premier League proven. Yes, he's had that injury, but he had it at such a young age. In fairness, I know leg breaks look horrific, but they're actually far less damaging than ligament damage, Achilles tendon snapping, and things like this. So as long as the clean break and the bone heals right, at a young age, you're generally speaking going to be okay from those. Look how quickly Harvey Elliott came back last year. Now, if he'd have done his knee ligament, it would have been 6 months longer, and it takes a lot longer to find your feet again. No pun intended. But look, I think Chelsea are onto a winner with this one. It may be slightly overpriced, but I think over the course of time, it will look okay, if that makes sense. You can get 5, 6, 7 years plus out of this guy. You suddenly throw Wesley Fofana, Cucurella, Koulibaly, Reece James, Thiago Silva in. That's as good as any defense in the Prem. It's as good as any defense in European football. And titles are won because of your defense. Games are won by your attackers. Titles are won by your defense. And I just think Chelsea, and then all they've got to do is add a midfielder and another attacker, which they're talking about spending 300 million. That's the thing. They're talking about spending 300 million pounds in one summer. And that's come from Jason Burt, who is very credible. If they spend that kind of money, City and Liverpool have got to look over their shoulder. They have to. They have to.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of these comments here. Terry, why are you so confident that United will sign both Tielemans and Neves? I'm not. It was purely a hypothetical. It's a pure hypothetical of if this happens. And I use the names of players that have been linked to us. So I'm saying that if we were to do something like that, my confidence levels would change. That is all I was saying. Needed a sixth this summer. Man Edwards will see CFC. I don't quite get that, but thank you. Martinez feels cheap now. 60 million for Fofana, 75 million. Oh my God. Left back at 60 million and Fofana 75 million. Well, that's the irony of the window, isn't it? It's I've always said in the past, when a player flops, their price tag always flows along with them. But over the course of time, what slowed the inflation rates of players down was the fact that COVID happened. But we would already have moved on to players like Fofana being by now 90 to 100 million pounds if COVID hadn't happened. You didn't have that 2.5 year period where people had less money. Everything was rising. When people were paying 50 million pounds for fullbacks, 80 million pounds for at the time, the top centre backs in the league 4 or 5 years ago, everyone was saying, oh, that's horrendous. I went in another 5, 6, 7 years time as the TV deal monies rise, as the commercial deals keep rising, those deals all look cheap. No one expected CV19, did they? Like, eventually you're going to move in another 5, 6 years, fullbacks will be 70, 75 million. Because I know that monetary sums are there still, but the inflation in football, how much money's in football, grows at such a high rate in comparison to the general inflation or the general increasement in the economy outside of it. So I'm not surprised to see that. But
don't get it twisted. You still overpaid for Tyrion Lannister. Let's keep it real.
Tyrion Lannister.
Yeah.
Is that what you're calling him?
Just joking.
He's gonna embarrass you guys this year. I can't wait for him to make Arsenal fans cry. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. I am now confident that with Cucurella deal. I am now convinced that the Cucurella deal was inflated as an agreement to let Colwill deal be on loan instead of a permanent deal. Thoughts?
I mean, a lot of people are saying that, and I feel like maybe that's the reason why. Or maybe it's a convenient, conclusion that you can come to make it, but ultimately, like, it's not going to matter if Cucurella performs. You won't even think about that 60 million. It's just something people are talking about now. Cucurella's quality, he's going to cover more than one position, not anything to worry about. I've seen a lot of people saying that. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's just...
So what's the logic in it? I'm just trying to understand it.
I think it's basically just like, they needed to pay more so that Colwill would not have any sort of like option or obligation or something. So it could have been a dry loan.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so they won't lose him.
But I suppose this is, again, these deals sometimes take time to work out. So if they pay 62 million for Cucurella,
Yeah.
but then get back a brilliant Coolwell for free next year. That's better than Coolwell going on a permanent deal for, say, 20 million.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea having to buy him back for 45, 50 million a year later.
Right.
I suppose it's just that, again, that's how these deals kind of work. I don't know if it's been said yet what the makeup of the 7 million add-ons are, whether they're individual based or whether they're sort of team performance related as well. But okay, that's an interesting one.
Well, they're learning from the past. One of my biggest gripes is letting their great academy center backs go, so.
Yeah. Terry, the hairline's moving offside. I don't know if you mean it's good or bad. This hair is looking thick, bro. Look at it. Look at this. Put it down. Look at that. Ball patch. Everything almost gone. And they've got 12 more months of thickening to do, my friend. So trust me, the hair's... I'll give you a little tip if you're going to get hair transplant as well. I could have had the hairline lower. But the problem is when you have it lower, they use less. So you see a lot of people that have hair transplants and it looks really weird at the front. It's because they want the hairline as low as possible. But there isn't always enough hair to transplant. What you're better off doing is still maintaining a slightly higher hairline than you want, but you thicken it out and then it looks stronger. That's the method. I'm very happy with my results.
Just embrace the forehead, essentially.
Well, you've got to. The size of your forehead is unbelievable. Honestly. Like 0 chin, all the forehead. It's weird. All that went there. Like it needs to be balanced out a little bit more.
When you look like this, those things don't hurt me. You know what I'm saying?
I like the confidence. Cucurella dreamed of playing for Chelsea. He probably did. Like Chelsea and Cucurella's how old? How old is he? 23, 24?
22 or 23.
So his whole life, Chelsea been a top team. He's only ever known Chelsea being a good team. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're 25 and younger, Chelsea, like in your lifetime, you've seen Chelsea, you've kind of seen Liverpool, so you've seen Chelsea and City in a completely different light to how my generation saw Chelsea and City when we grew up. Like Chelsea become a good team, but Chelsea weren't a great team until I was already 18 years old. So I lived my whole entire childhood before Chelsea become a great team. So I've always
players say that they've always dreamed of playing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a PR element. There is the PR element too.
He's dreamed of going back to Barcelona. Keep it real.
I genuinely think you should go easy on CR7. Terry, recent reports revealed that he left early to inject Botox into his something. Maybe.
I thought that was serious.
If Harry Kane doesn't win a significant trophy, will he be closer to being Matt Letizia than Alan Shearer? No. I mean, Matt Letizia didn't break records like Alan Shearer did. So if Harry Kane becomes the Premier League's highest ever goal scorer, Matt Letizia didn't do anything like that. But he doesn't have a massive legacy in football. To have a legacy in football, to become a great, you've got to win the major trophies. You can't be a Premier League great without winning the Premier League. You can't be a Champions League great without winning a Champions League. Facts. You could be a very good player, but you've got to do more. 100%, 110% need to. Viewers, do us a big favor and smash the like button. If we hit 1,000 while we're live, we're going to give away 20 free memberships for you on the air. So make sure you keep giving that a smash. We are going to be talking Youri Tielemans next, and then moving on to talking about Arsenal tonight as they open the Premier League season. Terry's going to be advertising Head and Shoulders next. Bruv, they should be sponsoring me. They should, you know what I mean? I didn't have hair, now I have hair. Do you know what I mean? It's all great. It's all great. Why is Jess taking that forehead abuse? When you've got a forehead like that, to not expect to be teased is ridiculous. Do you know what I'm saying? It's one of them ones. It's one of them ones. Someone's telling me to check my DMs. I think it's KJ. What's being sent to me here? Okay. Oh, wow. It's very nice. I'm liking it. So we're bringing back our club podcasts. Look at that bad boy. Look at that. It says that Chelsea podcast. That looks great, KJ. Well done. You're working on your day off as well. I like it, KJ. I like it, my friend. Youri Tielemans. I want to speak Youri Tielemans because he's a player that every couple of days I keep hearing Arsenal backlink with him again. I don't think Arsenal are going to buy him.
Yeah, you already said that.
I don't think they're going to get him. I'm getting to a point now where I'd like Man United to just go and do it. I know that they still want... Listen, I think you can buy him and Frenkie if you want to, right? I think Man United have got to got to go and add another midfielder to the mix. £35 million is very cheap in this day and age. he's better as a box-to-box than anybody that we've got. It still leaves room in the squad for a Frenkie De Jong or a DM at a later stage. I know we all want one now, but we've got to have a plan. We have to add something to our midfield, and I want to take Youri Tielemans away from Arsenal.
I mean, that's all this really is, right?
You reckon?
It's confirmation bias for you. It's we're linked with him lightly, or you're linked with him lightly. So I want to believe that Arsenal are not going to go in for him when there's tons of reports out there that have said the exact opposite. Somebody that comes on your show often continues to talk about the fact that this deal is very much still on, and they're actually waiting on or anticipating a move for Youri Tielemans soon.
Are they? I mean, they've been anticipating a move for him soon for 2 months. Yeah, sorry, I was saying that Ben Jacobs just tweeted saying Chelsea's latest bid for Wesley Fofana is over 70 million and won't be the last one made if rejected. Brendan Rodgers said again that Fofana isn't for sale, but Todd Bowley means business. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see Ben Jacobs put that out. It mirrors a lot of what we said yesterday, and a lot of what I said yesterday was based on what me and Ben Jacobs spoke about together. But I hear what you're saying. But I still don't. Look, I think Arsenal were interested, but I've read a lot of reports suggesting that Arteta maybe doesn't quite fancy him as much, maybe doesn't think he's fit enough. I just sort of feel like by now, you haven't made any other bids for any other attackers. The Paqueta news has gone absolutely quiet. I feel like if you were going to buy him, you'd have bought him by now.
I mean, we don't have space in the squad. We didn't have space in the squad. Now that we're sold like 4 or 5 players, or not sold them, but we moved some of them on. Now we actually have space to bring somebody in. The most important thing was to bring in Gabriel Jesus, a backup left back, and also another midfielder. So I don't think I think he's a priority for that position, but not a priority in terms of everything that we needed to get done. And you can't just continue to buy players and have 31 players on your roster when you can only really register, 25?
I get that. I do get it. I do understand it.
I mean, a lot of teams have stopped really purchasing to focus on outgoings.
I know they have, and maybe you will come back in for him. But that's why I think Man United got a strike. By the way, big up to Haj. Great Twitter account and Twitch account that you got, my friend. Thanks very much for watching. Really do appreciate it, brother. He said here that Leicester will accept they need the cash. They do. Like Leicester just angling for as much money as possible.
Let me tell you this.
Go on.
Let me tell you this as well. If we were not actually in for him still, and we weren't going to go back in for him, somebody would have already said it, because the last thing Arsenal want is for it to look like potentially we missed out on him when we weren't in for him anymore. So that's how Arsenal play the game. If they felt like, because basically what you're saying is for the last 3-4 weeks, we haven't actually been trying to get him. We looked at him. We weren't really that interested, whatever. They wouldn't continue to make it be like we would have moved on from it. We would have moved away from it. Because if we keep ourselves in the game and then Manchester United or whatever other club comes in and gets him, then it looks like we missed out. And that's the last thing Arsenal want.
Yeah,
you know that
we know the PR thing's important. I do get that. And if that's true, I'll concede to that. And I'll say you're right. Then United need to move now. At the very least, just force your hand to see whether you'd actually go in for him or not. That is the confirmation bias. I want to see someone bid for him to see what Arsenal do. Because you'll if you really want him and he's really something that the club needs and desires, if another club's going to snatch him away potentially, you'll forego the whole we need to move people on first, because that's just the nature of it. But Man United need to add something into that midfield, because I feel like Frankie's slipping through our fingers. I'm personally losing confidence. So I'm just speaking here from a personal preference point of view and what I think Man United should be doing. And yeah, I think a player like Youri Tielemans he's better than Fred, better than McTominay. He's better than every single midfield player left at Manchester United after Matic and Paul Pogba left, and we need something. And there is talk of Arsenal having a plan. I don't necessarily know if I 100% sort of believe in it. And the reason that I say that is because the only thing I would say, and it's not a dig at Arsenal, but initially it's you put that on ice to focus on a winger and a new defender. You sign that new defender, by all accounts, with Zinchenko. You missed out on the winger. You haven't bid for anybody else. You didn't put him on ice because you had to sell people. So the kind of narrative has changed as to why you haven't bid for him yet. And that's the only reason why I think there's an opportunity for people, because the reason that Arsenal haven't bid has changed twice so far this summer. And the fact that the reason why you haven't bid keeps changing tells me that maybe you are interested, but maybe I'm looking at it from the point of view, I don't know if he's as big a target, as big a like priority for the club as maybe they felt he was at the beginning of the window. Almost, well, we've actually watched these 3 or 4 players in training with the new individuals around them, and maybe we don't need to spend 35, 40, 45 million pounds. We're better off saving that money for another position or for a different player later on down the road. I mean, time will tell. I mean, this could be, you know, one of those deals in the last. I think it all depends on how you kick a ball as well. If you guys look great in these 3 or 4 games before the window ends, that's different to if you look awful. If this preseason hype fails and you're not as good, and the midfield area is key, Xhaka has a few stinkers, again, I think that changes the world again. But I don't know. I think there's a chance for other clubs to get him.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, again, that this is just you're hoping that there's still an opportunity for you guys to come in for him. Because I'm also trying to figure out what happened to all the Neves love. All of a sudden, Tielemans is the perfect answer or the option, or?
Well, but so you misconstrued me. So Neves would be an option, but you're talking about a player a year ago Wolves wanted 35 million for. They're now quoting Man United 60 to 70 million pounds.
You got that?
Yeah, but he isn't worth that.
That didn't stop you from buying Martinez.
But Lisandro Martinez is worth 45 million we paid for him. It only rises to 55 million if he's successful and he plays a lot of games for us. So we've spent 45 million up front for Lisandro Martinez. He's worth that money, in my opinion. He's probably just not quite worth 55 million, but in the ballpark, doubling a player's price. If you're talking about Lisandro Martinez being the same as Neves, Martinez would have cost us 90 million. If we spent 90 million on Martinez, that's the same thing. So for me, doubling the valuation of a Ruben Neves, I think there's better value in the market. If you pick up a Youri Tielemans for 35 million pounds as a box-to-box midfielder, that's very good value for money. Even if he doesn't work out, it's like in the modern day game, 35 million doesn't work out for a few years. You're probably selling for 20. It's 15 million pound like net loss on terms of the player's fee. Ruben Neves coming in at 70 million. I just think that's so overpriced. It's unbelievable. You've only got to spend another 25 odd million, and you've got a much better player in Declan Rice available. It's just too much money for the quality of the player. And I think Neves is great, but he's not 70 million pounds great, in my opinion anyway. A lot of people are asking about this Ben Jacobs tweet. As I've already said, I read it out earlier. Chelsea's latest bid for Wesley Fofana is over 70 million and won't be the last, is what Ben Jacobs has said earlier, literally in the last 10 minutes or so. Mirrors a lot of what has been said by other people as well. That's not a dig at Ben Jacobs, but Ben Jacobs is bang on this, because if you know Ben well, like I do, the connections that he has at both Leicester and Chelsea are unbelievable. So this is almost like the dream transfer for Ben Jacobs in terms of knowing what's kind of going on, what's being said, what's happening, and stuff like that. I'm just going to share that information as well, just so people that haven't seen it on his. Know we're talking about it here. Bear with me a few moments, my people. So that's been shared. Make sure that like button's being smashed. We're currently, how many likes are we away now? I just want to see. About 250 likes away, people, from hitting the magic number. So keep smashing it for us. Keep subscribing to the Terrace as well. Very, very important to us that you do that. Tielemans is hardly box to box. Attacking them. Well, he ain't a DM. What is he then? He's not an attacking midfielder, as in like a cam. He's not a DM. So he's a midfielder. Midfielders are by definition box to box if they're not defensively minded or out and out attacking. That's just like box to box is the modern day word for a central midfielder, mate. I like, without trying to get over critical. It's a central midfielder. Central midfielders go back and they go forward. You go back and you go forward. It's box to box, isn't it?
You don't need to know much about him because you guys aren't getting him anyway. So.
No, I'm just saying. Like what I love about modern day football when people describe what positions people play is when you break it, like there are central midfielders, and generally in central midfield you've got someone that attacks and defends, someone who defends, someone who attacks. There's 3 types of midfielders. Within those roles, there are different types. Like Claude Makelele wasn't the same as Michael Carrick, but they're both holding midfielders or defensive midfielders. You know, there are differences between between David Silva and a cam like Bruno Fernandes in terms of how they play. One's more of a goal scorer, one's more of a creator, but they play the same role, in my view. But that's just me. Maybe I look at it a little bit differently from everybody. We have a super chat here. No, I've already had that. I swear another one came in, and maybe I've missed it. Sometimes I miss these when I don't have anyone working backstage because I have to give KJ days off by law. Do you know that? I can't make him work 7 days a week like me. That's just me that does that. I like working 7 days a week, though. What's the point of taking time off? The deal with Tielemans is probably already done. Edu did ultimate wizardry with Vieira, and no one knew anything. Yeah, potentially. I mean, it could be done. I mean, the personal terms are done. The personal terms between Youri Tielemans and Arsenal are done, dusted, and over the line, as an example. Do you still feel like you need him, though? As a Gooner, do you feel like he's still needed to give you the most successful season possible? Or are you okay without him?
I mean, we can start the season without him and be probably fine, but it's a long season. It's a World Cup year. You definitely need as much as you can possibly get. And that's why, like, for me, I do think you need to bring another midfielder in. I like Tielemans just because, you know, he can do some things that Xhaka can't. Xhaka just in and around the box for me is just not creative enough. You know, he's trying, but it's just not his thing, you know. So having Tielemans there would give you another option, and it would keep us further away from having to use the likes of Elneny. Just like having Zinchenko and Saliba in the team keeps us from having to use like Cedric. And so the further you get away from those guys, the better off your squad is. So yeah, I mean, I get that it's a frustrating one because we have to wait and see. But Leicester wanted 40 million for Youri Tielemans with 1 year left on his deal. And they're not Man City. They can't afford to let him walk away for free. So I do think Edu's playing the long game. I do think we also can't have like 6 midfielders, 7 midfielders. You have to get rid of some of them, free up space. I would expect us to go in now. And that's kind of mirrored with what Ben Jacobs has said. He hasn't said specifically what club, but I would imagine it would be Arsenal because you guys are still tangled up with Frenkie De Jong.
You hope. A bit. You hope.
He also said that he wouldn't really want to go to Manchester United. He would only want to go to Arsenal.
Yeah. Who said that? Ben Jacobs?
Yeah.
Ben Jacobs said that you guys were ahead of us with Lisandro Martinez and we weren't even close. And he said that Eriksen would say no to us.
Yeah, well.
Thank you, my guy, Ben. When Ben says Man United ain't getting a player, so far this summer we've got him.
Well, not this one.
I'm only joking. I love Ben. He's a great guy. Little Grim Terry trying to come at Leicester City. Alvardi, I can't read that word. Eviscerates.
I can't really see that, yeah.
Okay, you got no glasses on. All Chelsea centre forwards in the Prem ever and crushes your precious Rude. I mean, look, Jamie Vardy's great, but your club's falling away, me old mate. Your club's falling away, Jimbo. Terry, the Cockney Red and Beckham fanboy. I was a Beckham fanboy. Who wouldn't be? You missed my super chat. Dress for Prime Minister.
Nice.
A president. You couldn't be the Prime Minister. You're not English or British. I don't know if we had that rule, though. I know you do in your country. You can't ever become the president without, if you're not American. You have to be a born American. I don't know if that exists here. Because some of our like high-level politicians were not born here.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anyway. That's not a job I'd be good at.
No, definitely not. You have to be like smart for that and stuff.
No, I'm intelligent. I just don't want to do it.
I mean, you're like American intelligent. You're not European intelligent. There is a difference. Oh, there is a difference. No, there's not. Definitely a difference. Definitely a difference. No. All the sugar in your sweets. It's just like you guys are just behind us a little bit, you know. It's just a joke. I love America. God save the president and all that. Someone put a comment in here from Simon Phillips. Says Chelsea's latest bid of 70 million is in for Wesley Fofana. I'm told talks have intensified today and Chelsea are confident this bid will be accepted. Oi, oi. As if, listen, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see what happens next. Now, listen, people, I want to speak a little bit about tonight. First Premier League game. Everybody's very, very excited indeed. Very, very excited about the return of the Premier League. Question I've got tonight, I'm not talking the overall league right now. I'm just talking tonight. Will Arsenal and Arteta take pre-season into this game? Or have you got a little bit of bubble guts? Are you a little bit nervous? Do you feel like they could bottle it tonight under the because there is big expectation on Arsenal tonight to do it? What do you reckon, Joe?
I'm always nervous before every single game. So there's never a game we could be playing anybody, even at home, with our comfort blanket, and I would still be nervous. But I think we're going to win the game. I think we're going to win this time around. I think we're well equipped. I don't think we're the same team with the same mentality coming off of that international break. I do think the boys were kind of smelling their own, they thought that they were going to go to Selhurst Park and it was just going to be business as usual. And Crystal Palace played us off the park last time. And I think we'd be foolish to not have a different mentality this time around. We'll actually have a striker. We won't have Lacazette playing defensive center forward this time around. We'll actually have somebody who can put it in the back of the net. And most of our players are fit. And if they're not, we have some players off of the bench that we can bring in. So I do think we'll do the business this time around. Again, I still think Arsenal are going to surprise some people this season. I think there's a little bit of I don't really rate any of their players. Well, fair enough, but I think we're going to do just fine today.
Look, I don't see you losing today. And I asked the question because it's kind of what's topical today. There are a lot of Gooners excited, but I think every single fan of another top 6 club is desperate to see Arsenal lose tonight. There is almost this, they want to be able to turn around and say all that preseason hype. They want to see, Jesus hit a blank. They want to see, Saka fail. They want to see a mistake from Zinchenko. They want to see Patrick Vieira, beat you like they did at the end of last season. You can feel it's in the air. They want to be able to turn around and say, Mikel Arteta bottled it. I think we can all see it. We can all feel it. We can all smell it. And I'm not going to lie, as a Man United fan, of course I don't want Arsenal to win tonight. I've been very complimentary of Arsenal in recent weeks, but I don't want you to win games. That's stupid. However, what I want to happen and what I believe will happen are two very different things. And I think Arsenal won't just win tonight. I think you win the game by halftime. I think you are going to absolutely blow them away. The speed of your game, the intensity of how you've been playing recently, I don't think Crystal Palace are going to be able to handle it. I don't think Crystal Palace are going to be able to keep up with it. And your attackers, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, in pre-season have been brilliant. And I believe they are going to take that into the real game tonight. I think that you're going to start the season for the first time in a while, not just with a good win, but with real enthusiasm. If you get past these first 3 or 4 games with a fair amount of points, it's going to cement my opinion that you're going to, you're making the top 4. And as it stands right now, because Chelsea haven't signed all their players, I'm putting you in 3rd place. And I think tonight's going to be a small marker laid down to show how capable you are of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no excuses today. Like, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't expect to win today. They have had a disrupted preseason. They had some players that couldn't go. Where were they? Where were you guys? Singapore?
Yeah.
They couldn't have, so some of their players couldn't get in. So
A
they
lot of
had,
them.
yeah. So they had like half of their team in Singapore and like the other half in Australia or something like that. So they've been disrupted. We haven't. Our team has been clicking. They haven't had. If we can't beat them and they've been disrupted and our team has actually improved, then it's just gonna bring up those questions again. So I expect us to win this game. I think it's gonna be more difficult than people make it out to seem. Like, I don't think Palace are just gonna like roll over or anything like that. I think if the usual is gonna happen, they're gonna be right on top of us. Their fans are gonna be right on top of us, and we just have to ride that little bit of time, that 15 to 20 minutes, don't give up a goal, and then impose ourselves on them. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I'm so tired of opening up the Premier League season with a London derby. It is sickening, but hopefully we win.
No, I get that. A comment here says, why not Spurs, Terry? Like I said it the other night. I'm not even, when I say Spurs flopping, you've got to listen to what I say after that and not allow cognitive dissonance to set in and stop you from listening. I think the level of expectation people are putting on Spurs, anything outside of finishing in the top 4 is considered flopping. I don't think they're going to finish 10, 15, 20 points behind Chelsea and Arsenal. No, it'll be minimalistic. But I just think that these two teams will finish in front of them. I don't think Spurs have signed as good of players as people are making out. I understand that Conte has this brilliant talent ID, But you're talking about he's competing against lots of other top-class managers and top-class squads. It wasn't like that when he was winning the league with Chelsea, with Vicky Moses as his fullback. Even when he won the league with Inter, who is he really competing against? AC Milan weren't as good as they are now. Juve had already fallen off. Who are they competing against, really? Who was he? Was he competing with 3 or 4 teams that were all capable of winning the league? No. When he won the league with Chelsea, who was he competing with, really, at the time? Go back and look at it again. You know, he wasn't competing against the best of the best of the best like we're seeing now. It wasn't like he was competing in the era from between sort of 2004 and 2011 in the Premier League, where there was 3 or 4 teams every season that had the capability of winning the league. It's not a dig at Antonio Conte. He is absolutely top class. I think Spurs have signed some very good players. I think they've got a very good squad. I just don't think they're going to be as good this year as City, Liverpool, Arsenal, or Chelsea. It's not a dig. Of course, I'm having a little bit of fun with it by saying they'll flop, but that's only by the standard of. And look, we've had it on the show. We have 3 main Spurs fans this summer on the show: Jordan, we've had Patrick, and we have Ricky Sachs. We haven't heard much from Alan Clark over the course of the summer, and Alex, and of course we have Jerome, one of our regular like super chatters and guys that calls in. But of those 3, 2 of them have said Spurs can win the league this year. So 60% of the Football Terrace's predominant Spurs fans have said they could win the league. And Patrick thinks they're going to finish in the top 4
and win
a trophy, but finish over 10 points in front of Arsenal and Chelsea. So the point I'm making is that I think based on those 3 people's opinions, and echoed by a lot of Chelsea fans, I think they'll underperform based on that. You know, if they'd have said, I think, we might, we could come fourth and, by a point or 2 and do that, then I'd say, okay, that's a fair enough expectation. I think people have got so far ahead of themselves with Spurs. It's unbelievable. I think people are they've signed a 62-year-old at left back. They've got a very good player in Basuma. They've overspent by about £30 million on Richarlison. And suddenly they're winning the league. Suddenly they're qualifying for the Champions League without a problem. For me, that's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah. And
ridiculous.
It's like a 25-point gap or something between them, and like what they've bought has not closed that gap up, I don't think, in terms of what the top teams are doing and what they were doing last season. And my only thing about Spurs, and I think they're going to have a good season. I think they're going to be frustratingly good because they don't necessarily play the same way as the rest of us want to possess, the ball. They kind of are like, forget it. We don't need to possess it. We're just going to do our thing. Yeah. And it's devastating when they do it. But if Premier League teams are smart, they're going to sit in a low block and frustrate. And Spurs have still not figured out a way to break down the low block, so it's not a matter of whether or not they can beat the Cities and the Liverpools. We know that they'll give them a difficult time, but it's about the teams at the lower end of the pitch that are also getting better, that are going to be able to look at what happened against Roma, look at what happened last season and say, you know what, if we just sit back, these guys can't unpick the lock. And without a player like a James Maddison or, a creative midfielder coming in, it looks like with every single team, we're looking for cracks, in the foundation. And that's just that's the main one for me for Spurs.
Yeah. I get that. There's a comment I want to go to here that says, no, Terry, you can't one week say Antonio Conte is class, but then say Conte ain't never competed with anyone. How does that work? Well, he is still class, but I'm talking about people saying that he can compete with Liverpool and City. Those 2 managers are the best 2 in the world overall, even though I think Antonio Conte's league record is on par with both of them, if not better than Jurgen Klopp's. But you are factoring in other competition into that as well. How is that going to impact them? He's also going up against them 2 that have had their squads for a long time. Mikel Arteta has had his squad for a long time. Tuchel's had this squad longer than Antonio Conte, and I think Tuchel is on par with him. The point I'm making out is that just because Spurs finished 5th, in my opinion, doesn't mean Antonio Conte's had a bad season. That's the concept here and the nuance that's being missed. When was the lot? And by the way, you could come 5th this season and have a world-class team. You could come 5th in the Premier League this year, but win the Champions League. That's how competitive the Premier League is going to be this season. I'm not saying that he's a terrible manager. You're misconstruing that point. You're kind of hearing what I'm saying. I know you think it's kind of like when people say, I think Ronaldo is the greatest player of all time. You say Messi's crap. No, I think Messi's phenomenal. I'm simply stating that that's where I think Spurs will end up. I just think that's where Spurs. I just think Chelsea and Arsenal are going to be better than them this year. However good you think Spurs are going to be, I think Arsenal and Chelsea are going to be better. That's all it really is, my friend. It's not anything outside of that. It doesn't change how I feel about Antonio Conte. You know, it really, really doesn't. Invite Arsblog on Terry, more nuance than League Gunner. Listen, we have League Gunner on. I don't know the guys from Arsblog. Everyone's welcome. We've got a very good mix of Arsenal fans on the terrace. We're very, very happy. And maybe we'll get them on one day. Terry, I'm an Ajax and United fan. The Premier League now basically the Super League. I don't see any leagues coming closer anytime soon. It's insane. But look, La Liga, the top two La Liga teams can compete with this. Bayern can compete with this. PSG, that's about it. The Italian clubs have been left behind. I mean, talking overall quality, they just have, as far as I'm concerned. The Ralph sacking will come to bite United back. We will see. This comment here says Arteta will be sacked by Christmas. Poch in.
That's such an odd statement. Are you an Arsenal fan? And then you want Poch in?
I don't know. They can't be an Arsenal fan if he wants Poch.
But I think it is.
You think that's a gooner?
Yeah, because why would anybody else say Poch in? Like a rival.
I don't know.
Are you an Arsenal fan?
Eric Palmer, who do you support?
Yeah.
You probably told us before on the terrace. I just forgot. I have a lot of subscribers, a lot of members. I don't always know. Spurs window 7 out of 10. Arsenal 6.5. I thought the Champions League / Conte factor would smash all. Chelsea winning / may win the transfer window. Arsenal will get between 4th and 6th. Spurs 4th or 5th. United 6th. I mean, be honest with you, mate. When I look at that, I think Arsenal's window, you're probably about. I think you're probably about right. Everything in that, to be honest with you, and the positions that you put people in. The only thing I say is I put Arsenal between 4th and 6th. I think they can get 3rd and 6th. Spurs 4th or 5th. I put United 6th, but I agree with a lot of what you've said. So, by the way, my opinion, by the way, could change on Tottenham. If Tottenham sign James Maddison, my opinion may change. The same as with, again, if Chelsea sign Cucurella and then they don't get Fofana and they don't get Frenkie De Jong, my opinion will not change. I'll still probably say 4th. Does that make sense? Like, the rest of this window will change things. You know, an injury that's picked up in the next few weeks, whatever it may be. But this is as things stand right now.
The only other thing I will say about that is that it's the window, I think, has been very indicative of where these teams really stand. We're all fighting for the same quality of player, the same players, the exact same players we're all fighting for. So I think that's indicative of like how close the teams actually are.
Yeah.
Nobody, the two teams playing in Champions League, Chelsea, you know, and Spurs, have ultimately been fighting for the same quality of players that Manchester United and Arsenal have been fighting for. So it's fine margins here. Again, like, I do think the Conte factor and that kind of stuff is being taken as like, okay, that means you're going to be like light years ahead. But our squads are so right in thereabouts. It could change at the end of the transfer window, but I don't think there's much in it.
It's just one of them things. I mean, the reason what I love about predictions is the outrage people feel in them. Because if you'd have said last year at the beginning of the season, United are coming 6th and Leicester are going to come would they come 9th, 10th?
Yeah.
If you'd have said Leicester are going to come 9th or 10th, you'd have been called crazy.
Yeah.
If you would have said Spurs are going to finish 20 points, if I'd have said to any Chelsea fan at the start of the season, you're finishing nearly 20 points behind City, they'd have said you're wrong. So that's why when I turn around, I think Spurs are going to come 5th. That's crazy. Well, if you think that's crazy, then you've never watched football. Yeah. Someone said to me as well, how do you think Spurs, where does your logic come from that Spurs might flop or bottle it? Have you ever watched Spurs? Like, it's literally, we call them Spursy for a reason. It's crazy. Yeah. It's weird that people think it's a mad notion, but we'll see. Let's take a look at a few more comments that are coming through here. Arteta only seems to have no tactics. It's all motivation for him. I think he has tactics. I think he has tactics personally.
Oh, just because you didn't see it on the documentary, it means it doesn't exist.
I mean, I haven't watched any of it yet. I didn't get that. I was meant to start watching it yesterday, but then I couldn't. The latest offer for Fofana has been turned down. Another bid incoming. We are getting closer. I just want to say, I've got to find this tweet now. I'm going to find this tweet for you people. Bear with me. It's from yesterday, right? I want you to read this tweet out because all this news is coming out now. I want you to read this tweet. Can you just read this out?
Chelsea are readying a new bid for Leicester City's Wesley Fofana. Thomas Tuchel's side will test the water with another offer below £85 million, but will likely be prepared to pay more.
So that's kind of what's happening now, right?
Yeah.
That was who said that?
Why are we playing this?
Who said that? Whose tweet was that?
Terry.
Tap in, tier 1, Terry. Now, I'm just saying, I put it out there. They're always going to put this bid in that's lower than the 85 asking price. It's likely to be rejected. They're prepared to pay more. I think they get Wesley Fofana for 80 mil.
I mean, we could all kind of like guess that, couldn't we?
Are you taking the piss?
Do you have info or are you guessing?
Both.
Because, in the nose do that as well. They just kind of guess it.
No, I know you're only
based
messing.
on what's happening.
I'm only messing. Like, obviously, my inside information comes from the journalists we work with, and I knew a bid was coming because 3 different journalists yesterday in conversation said it. But my guess is, I reckon around 80 million does it. I think they want 85. They're deliberating in this mid 70 range. I think about 80 million, maybe with some add-ons, we'll get that done. Who keeps saying she is hot? She is below average. Oh. I like you, my friend. I'm going to give you hang on.
Why are you advocating for that? So now you want more people to put in super chats that say mean things about me.
Yes, let's do a mean section. The meanest things you could say about Jess that are legal, by the way. I'm only joking. Don't do it. It's a joke. I'm only joking. Right. I'm only joking. It will cost you one Harry Maguire. Can you imagine? That's it. How much is Wesley Fofana going to cost? It's going to cost you one Harry Maguire. I quite like that. Ben Jacobs backed that statement. Okay, this is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. By the way, have we hit 1,000 likes yet? Listen, you got a few minutes to get the 1,000 likes up. Otherwise, I won't be gifting out those. The other day, we literally missed it by like 50. We want to give out these memberships, my people. We want to give out these memberships. Get smashing that like button right now, my friends. Is this a new currency? Yeah, it's like Bitcoin. Like you can call it, you should call new Bitcoin Maguires, right? And it's basically like one Maguire is 85 million, and you can get sections of it. Do you know what I mean? It's going to cost you one Maguire. Oh, look, Jay here. Jay says, Jess is a stunner. Mama Flossie says, Jess is a stunning young lady. As you can see there.
Thanks,
guys. But there we go. Love the banter, Jess, football team, but the flirting simps are creepy. It's all fun and games. Have we hit the 1,000 likes yet? Because I'm getting... There we go. I'm going to gift them out now then. I've got to open this. I've got to open another tab. You might hear a little bit of playback for a second. Well, not if I turn that down. This mix is so much better than the one I have at home. Should take this one back home, really. But we're going to be in here more next year. So I've got to do that. Bear with. I'm going to buy these for you all now, my people. I'm just going to pause this and then mute it. It's a bit weird. Taking so long today. Right. Let's do this now. I'm going to gift out these memberships. And let's see who gets them. 20 memberships incoming. I'm waiting for it to load. I need a new laptop. You know when your laptop starts getting really slow? Boom. That's been done. New memberships are on their way in now, people. I'm going to read out the names of who's got them when they appear on the screen in front of me. Right. So let's wait and see who's got it. 20 memberships on the way now, people. Keep smashing that like button. So who's got them? Who has got them? So the first one has gone to Calvin, has been given a free membership today. Congratulations to you. SKS has been given a free membership. We've also seen one go to Subs2 Flying Pig, Patrick Hoyle, Charles White, Claudio Caldelani, Legend Asas, Starboy65, Tris Martin has also been awarded one. I might have missed some names out here because they all fly that. It doesn't let you scroll slowly. It's very weird. Cody Martin, All Things Online. Jaden has been given one that I can see, and many, many, many more of you. So congratulations to everybody that's been given one. Smash some of the new emojis in there as well. Smash as Arsenal are kicking the season off, let's smash the Arsenal emoji in there if you can, and your club's emoji as well. Just let us know who our members are and who's on the stream right now. We've got some great content on the way for members only. I'm very, very excited for you all to see it. I really, really am. But I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's tuned in today. Jess, always a pleasure to stream. Make sure every single one of you, I want to see all of you plus everybody else back at full time after Arsenal versus Crystal Palace tonight. But until next time, my people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.